Mimi and Russ and Louie, he's always hanging around, wanted to be in the picture tonight, so we put him up here. Tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. As you know, those who shop with us and watch us regularly, we are a custom design concierge studio. So we're going to do a few educational, educational videos and some shows for the next few weeks or so. We want to show you how things are done. A lot of people ask us when we talk about designing something, well, how do you do this? How's it made? So a lot of times we'll bring people back in our shop and show them around. So tonight we're going to kind of show you around the shop real quickly, and then we're going to show you how we do some hand wax carvings and make waxes, and talk a little bit about the CAD CAM, and show you a few projects we got working on. And if you have any questions while you're watching, please ask them. And Mimi's going to try to monitor that and see, but I'm going to kind of run my mouth tonight, I guess, a little bit, and hopefully it won't be too much or too fast. Sometimes I get excited talking about this, but we'll see what happens. But as you can tell,
Yes,
Mimi's
we're
wearing...
excited to do this.
Mary, what are you wearing?
We got our Duke gear on. Louis got his Duke blue harness on. We're getting ready for Sweet 16 games. We have watched a lot of basketball at our house.
We were hoping that more North Carolina teams would have been there and gotten to the Sweet 16, but at least we have Duke there, which is one of our favorite teams, if not our favorite team.
I think we always do our bracket as a family, and I think you've done probably the best so far.
Been lucky so far, yeah.
I've
A couple
got,
of them I missed.
I did better than I thought. I kind of was pulling for a lot of the underdogs.
You always
The
want to have
sleeper
those
teams.
upsets.
Yeah, and unfortunately the ACC hasn't gone into the deeper rounds the last couple of years, so I didn't pick them to go too far. But
It seems to do it, so we're excited about that.
y'all know we're Duke fans. We're excited, and but I found something really neat this morning when I was trying to find this Duke cap.
Yep. This is a Duke hat that was signed by Carlos Boozer. As you know, if you're watching college basketball, his two sons are playing for Duke, the twins. Anyway, we got this hat in about 2001 or so, right around the time that Carlos was getting ready to graduate. Our son we all were Duke fans, and he was a little kid at the time, and I was doing some work for his father and his mother. Carlos's father and mother lived in Raleigh at that time, and I was making some custom rings for him and his family. He was giving to each of his kids.
Nice family.
So his dad got Carlos to sign his hat for Rhett, and Rhett kind of cherished his hat. So we got something pretty special here, which is really cool.
Yeah. So anyway,
I know style.
I think baseball season started this week, and hockey's about to end. So we know that we're going into the spring months, and if you're in Raleigh with us, you're probably a little bit yellow colored from all the pollen. It's been really bad.
It was boiling yesterday, like yellow's rain.
Yeah, we'll be glad to get some rain at the end of the week, I think. So,
All right.
you ready to demonstrate?
Well, let's do a little talking now. We do custom jewelry. Custom jewelry means you make it. How do you make it? Lots of times it's either hand fabricated, taking metals and assembling pieces, then taking heads and setting the right heads from gemstones and building it from scratch out of the metal. Or we do wax work. A lot of times it involves hand carving waxes from blocks of wax or tubes of wax. Sometimes I take things like this. These little long wax sheets. We do these capellini rings, we call them. So I actually will make these waxes. You might want to get a little closer here to show you what we're talking about. But I take wax wires, and this is the base of two rings that we make. So what I'll do is we'll cast this, and then we'll actually take other wires that I'll have made, which like this, and then we'll keep overlaying, and we'll build a ring from scratch. So if you look on our website and look at our Capellini series, you'll see a lot of finished Capellini pieces. This is how we start making them. We just build bases like this, and then we'll start taking those bases and building designs off of that, depending on what stones we're using or what ideas that the customer wants. Sometimes we also will do textured pieces, which is like this piece right here. We built this piece for a lady who had a ruby. Her name is Kirsten. I think she might be watching it. She usually does. So there's your piece, because you hadn't seen the wax yet. So anyway, that's what we work with. And what we do with that a lot of times, I actually have an alcohol lamp. There's electric pieces we can use, but I started doing this when I first got into it, and if something works, I'm a firm believer, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or don't mess with it. But literally to build this piece for her, to get the texture, is we actually heat, I use a dental tool. I go to my favorite dentist, get some of these tools, whoops, this thing's a light here. This is basically alcohol, denatured alcohol, so typically it burns pretty well. But to get these textures, I literally will take a drop of wax at a time and start forming the shape. That's what we did with this, as you can tell. I've built each of the little pieces here, and they're gonna hold the stone in, we floated a few diamonds around it. This is gonna be a really pretty painting. So that's how we do a lot of the waxes there. And now, let me show you what happens. We will go over here to our waxes. And as you can see, we do a lot of CAD-CAM. CAD-CAM means it's computer-aided design that is printed by a machine. So there's several types of products we get. These are different types of resins. I'll do it in the dark. So this green wax is a very durable wax. It's very hard. It won't break. These are really nice to cast with being poured in the metal. These are really good to show customers because they're strong. Then these blue ones and these pink ones or orangish ones, very, very soft. And some of the red ones, you really can't touch it. You look at them and they break. And it costs about $100 to print each one of these models. So that's something you want to be careful with. But these are examples of rings that we have made. I typically try to, when I'm making a design, I'll make extra molds in case something happens. We have to redo it. And a lot of times we'll just have nice molds that we can show people or make something from. It can also be a cost savings to the customer. But basically what you start with is a mold, and then once we get the mold done, we will do this. You see right there. I will put these.
How long does it take to print wax?
Waxing, a basic, simple wax can take a few hours to sometimes it can take up to 12 hours, depending on what you're seeing, what you're doing. The machine is literally printing, it's building up a layer of wax at a time. Okay? This is a ring we just recently did for a gentleman on the wedding band, and he has some silver that we're going to actually make a silver band that's going to go in the middle of this, and it's going to have a texture to it. His grandfather's World War II pen. We're going to do the band in yellow gold, and then we'll take this piece of silver and make a custom piece. So this is what happens. The wax goes in here. This is called a crucible. And then, as you can see, it's suspended in here. Then we put in a solution. It's called an investment, but it's like a plaster of Paris. It gets very hard, so once it gets hardened, we break this bottom off. And this ring is suspended in here. It goes in the oven overnight, and we burn the wax out. Come in the next day, we really melt the mold and we pour it. So that's how a ring is basically simply made and cast. Sometimes too, we have people come in and say, I have something that I want to reproduce, but I just want to bring this little ring in. It wasn't real. It was a base metal, head plated. So we made a mold of it. This is called a vulcanized mold. So what happens is we have a wax injector machine. So what I do is I actually take this and I can squirt the wax out of it. Once I do that, you'll see, here's the ring, the wax ball for it. It gives a representation of this original ring right there. And we put that in this crucible like we just talked about and melt the wax out. So it's called the lost wax casting process. What that means is we melt the wax off, it's gone, it's empty. There's a cavity there. So we pour the molten roll and takes the place of that wax that's gone. That's what makes your piece of jewelry. Here's one we just recently did. Depending on the single working with them. Here's a good example. You really see the wax inside of the mold itself. You can see just a little better. Here's the projects that we're working on. Again, from a hand carving. I made an NC State Wolfpack ring for someone years ago. And she has a friend in old school. So I think I'm trying to make another one up. And I think I'll make a mold, a rubber mold like these. And I can make multiples, but trying to get a nice detail. As you can see, I'm really trying to get his teeth looking fierce. Trying to get as much detail as I can on this piece. It's really cool. Cool representation of the NC State Wolfpack. And some other projects we're working on is some bracelets, different bracelet style links here. This is a little textured piece. My dad made these probably, this chain, it's a little 3-4 chain, probably 30 or 40 years ago. It is the original mold that he had out of the wax mold or piece we squirted from. It's so old it's starting to fall apart, it's surprised it's still one piece. But it's pretty neat. This is something that's been made for decades and it's still a popular item. We enjoy making it. Here's some different rings that we're making, also some the waxes that we just showed. These are some of the pieces that we've already cast. These are some of our rings that we sell a lot of in different combinations. Got a beautiful little 1-carat ruby that we're doing kind of an antique style that we did not too long ago for someone similar. It's going to have claw prongs, and we're going to find some older diamonds. I want to find some old iron cuts. They're about 100, 110 years old. I just like this old cuts because these are smaller stones. They're smaller stones. The antiques have these big windows and they're a lot of fun. This will make a beautiful little ring. It'll have an antique feel, but it's going to be a modern design and a modern style too. So that's how that works. Man, you say, okay, well, how do you make it? Here's what happens. That mold goes in this oven right here overnight, and it burns all that wax out. So basically, it's about an 8-hour to 10-hour process. And we come in the morning, and basically we have a torch here that we will ignite. And I'll show you what that looks like. Actually, I'm going to cut that on. I cut it off because this can be a bit dangerous. And let's see. So we'll take this and I have a melting place. The gold goes into here, and we will light this torch. And then what happens is we melt the gold. Once the gold is melted, we literally put the piece on top of this machine. I use a vacuum casting machine. That's what I grew up learning on. My father, Chaplain, was a pharmacist. He got into making jewelry. This is actually a machine that he bought in the 70s, and I'm still using it. I got this from here on the past, and the machine I have is very similar. But it's kind of interesting to see this machine still working beautifully. There are lots of different manufacturers now making machines that are a little simpler, easier to work. But again, I like things that I'm used to, and it works out well for us. So a lot of times we'll let people come in, gentlemen who are going to get engaged, and we'll let them come in and actually cast the engagement ring with us. We call it letting them birth their engagement ring. So it's a lot of fun. It's a good process. It's simple, and get to be part of the design process and the build process. Now, let's show you a couple of projects that we're working on. Once we cast these pieces, then we have to sand them and polish them. I've got drawers full of tools here, things that we have to do. Once something comes out of the oven, as we say, we have to sand it down and polish it and build it. Here's a piece that we're working on right now. This is an engagement ring. Let's right up here for you. This is an engagement ring. This was built in 3 pieces. Here's one piece of it. This is already soldered on there, so I'm a stickler for polishing things being finished properly. You can't really polish this if this is all made in one piece. So I had my CAD designer build it in 3 pieces so I can polish this ring all underneath here in detail. Then I have to solder these plates on here. So that one's on there now, as you can see. So I'm going to get ready to put the other one on the other side. Then we'll set all the diamonds. This is going to have 2 marquees and a little diamond up top. Then 2 more diamonds and another marquee. So we've got a lot going on here. It's going to be a beautiful design. I'm very excited about it. This customer was involved with it. His fiance saw several combinations of things she liked, and he and I sat down and figured out this balance for what they wanted to do. Very excited. This will be finished up this week, so it's going to be good. Another one I'm having fun working on. We showed this the other day about this rose gold piece, and I'm cutting the seats. The seats mean the stone has to sit down in the seats. These are half bezels, and these have to be precisely cut. I literally have spent probably about 30 to 45 minutes getting this stone close to going in here, and it's still not quite in there yet, because what you want to do is you got to barely cut away enough metal to get it just to barely snap in there, because once it's in there, I have a hammer tool, and I literally hammer around this edge, and that compresses that metal over top of that stone, and that's what holds it. Half bezels like this and bezels are really nice because there are no prongs to pick or snag. So these are great for large stones or tall stones, things that you want to wear, be real clean looking. So now I'm having to cut the seats from the top. So what happens is, you can see there, once you cut it, it'll actually sit down in. So now I've got to go back and cut some more out of this. So the slug will just drop in there, and then we'll hammer all these in place. This will be a beautiful freestone room when it's all said and done. Beautiful pink tourmaline and blue sapphire combination. Now here's a little experiment that we're working on. Gold prices went over $5,000 in the last few weeks. They're coming back down a little bit, which is nice to see. However, I thought I would try something different. So we have a metal, it's called continuum silver. Continuum silver is a non-tarnishing silver, which is fantastic for jewelry. I actually took that and I mixed it with half white gold, 14 karat. And this has been sitting around for about a month. I wanted to see what happened to the color. It's staying very, very nice and white. It feels and looks like white gold. So I'm going to polish this up, and we're going to set a beautiful sapphire in here. Clean, little, simple, nice design. And then we're going to see how well this works. If it does, it's going to be a great way to have a nice lower carat gold ring that has the high carat gold look to it. So very excited about this experiment. It's a pretty little ring too. It's got kind of maybe an antique design a little bit. It's got the infinity shank, but it's got some nice open airiness to it. It's going to be a good piece. Here's something we're trying to put together. We have a friend who loves, what's that designer's name? The lady.
Oh, Lily Pulitzer.
Lily Pulitzer, I couldn't think of it. Lily Pulitzer has these bright, intense pinks and greens and blues. These are some pink spinels that we're putting together with an opal and some blue sapphires. I'm trying to decide if we want to put in some rich green saphirite garnets to really pull all the colors that are the main focus colors of this particular stone. And do a kind of a multi-level ring and have different levels and steps to it. This is going to be a fun piece to build. In the process, it's going to be a little tricky. And here is a cool piece we're doing. This is for a dear, dear friend. This is the more of an artsy piece that we're going to put opals and tanzanites together. The main focus is going to be a big opal in the center, like that. Kind of a free-form piece. Again, these playful free-form designs are really, really good and interesting. They're always different. You can't duplicate them. They're one of a kind. This is going to be for a dear friend. Working on that. It's got a ways to go. And here's a classic engagement ring that we're doing for one of my best friends growing up. His son's getting engaged. And we're going to build him a beautiful ring. This is a 2-carat natural pear-shaped diamond. We accent it with more pear shapes. It's one of my favorite combinations. We did a classic ring. It's going to have a V cap on the end to protect the point. 4 prongs there. It's got this, the side stones will tuck just slightly under it. But we floated this up. It's kind of called cathedral style mounting. Because what it does, it sits the diamond slightly off the finger here, the edge slightly off. So any flat band will fit flush and nicely with it. A lot of times if you have a stone that has a big wide structure, then you have a thin shank. The head that holds the stone tends to not be able to allow a flat diamond to sit with a flat diamond band or plain band to sit with it. We like to do them this way because you can always get a band flush against it. But sometimes you're not going to wear this big beautiful diamond ring. You might just want to wear your wedding band. So it's nice to have that flat straight band. So this is nice too because you can kind of see it's not too tall, but it's got a really nice structure to it. We do like these Euro shanks. The Euro shanks kind of counterweight them. They have they don't want to turn as bad on your finger. Counterweights it, and I think to kind of shape platinum is a difficult metal to polish, and it takes a lot of steps. It takes about 5 or 6 steps. Gold, you can kind of lightly sand it, go to the buffing machine, and boom, it's shiny. Platinum's not that way. This is getting close. I'm one step away from getting this perfectly smooth. As you see, this is the step before it. It's got a little bit of a matte finish to it. This goes into a tumbler. Now these little pen tumblers give it a little bit of a light polish. Then I go back and we have to buff it like this. But literally, this ring right here, as simple of a design as it is, takes about 2 to 3 hours to polish it. It's just not something that's quickly done. Platinum is a great metal. It's very difficult to work with, but once it's all done, it's a perfect metal to wear. It's hypoallergenic, and it will last you a lifetime.
So
that's going to be a great piece.
You were in your friend's wedding, and now you're making his son's engagement ring.
Exactly. If he and I played a lot of sports together growing up, grew up together, and we'll get his wedding rings for him and his wife, and we're doing his son's. It's always something fun to do. Now let's see, what else we got going up here? Oh, his ring, this in progress. We actually built this ring for someone and decided that they wanted to change the stone out, so we cut the stone out and actually made a different ring and kept this intact. So now we've got to pick out another stone to put in here. But that's what's cool about having the right tools and knowing what to do. I literally cut this one stone out. I'm going to be able to make another piece and insert that in there with these stones because we have a laser, and the laser allows us to do lots of technical welding without damaging any kind of stones. When we use a torch, we're using a lot of heat, and it heats the whole ring, and it takes a long time to cool off. Whereas with a laser, you can literally, it's a spot weld, and it's instantaneous, so therefore it doesn't transfer heat. So I can put anything I want to with this.
What are those stones?
This is an opal here, and this is a aquamarine, just a cabochon. It's got a little color to it. So we're going to put another colored stone here to kind of tie into those. We had kind of a rich bluish color before.
What color would our fans pick to go in there for the third stone?
Definitely blue.
You know I love blue on blue.
We got to find the right color blue to fill that space. This was fun. A friend of mine gave me this idea. She came in with a costume ring that had a feel to this ring. I kind of interpreted and did my own thing to it, where it's got a little roughness here, but it's high polished. It's got a rough texture, almost like a bark tree right in there, and then a little bit of a hammer texture out here. So it's a fun, kind of a playful, organic, free-form ring.
Looking at it from over here, I think you could even do a moonstone.
You could
Do
put
something
whatever you wanted to.
opaque.
Except dark would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we kind of have a deep kind of a bluish purple stone before. Yes, neat look. And then again, excuse me. Here's some hand carving waxes. We have somebody come in and wanted to know about textures on wedding bands, men's wedding bands. So kind of have a few things carved out here that I can show people when they come in of some different textures. This is kind of that rough gold texture, that rough hue, call it hand wrought gold feel to it. I got this in the right place or not. But again, these are done with a drop of wax at a time for this ring. I use a wax sheet to build this. This, I actually have a wax tube, and I'll cut a piece off, and I'll literally just kind of take a tool and carve into that. Gives it kind of a stone texture, maybe you'd say. Then, sometimes people want something more classic, like a hammered look. So we can do different types of hammers. It can be a rough-hewn hammer. You can have more of a really precise with lots of little hammered looks. What's cool about this is when the light hits it, those little curves we high polish this, it really reflects. It kind of has that dome shape reflects the light, so it kind of twinkles a little bit. So again, it's smooth. There's another little hammered texture. So again, you come in, and if you like the hammered looks or rough looks, we can give you whatever you want. And again, another, not really a bark texture, but kind of a cut metal look, which I think this is really nice looking. These are great for men because men like to bang things up, and it's nice to have that texture because it doesn't show scratches as bad. Just a clean look.
I have a question. When you determine the design with the client, how do you decide whether you're going to hand carve the wax or use the CAD/CAM process?
It depends on the intricacy and what we have to do to it. Like the band I showed you, we just put into the crucible a little while ago. Had to be really precise because we had to make sure we can fit another band on the inside of it. And also, it had to have this beaded edge. We wanted to make sure that everything was perfectly balanced. And here's two other ones. A lot of people like a rope textured look. Here's two styles that I literally hand carved these. And the computer would do this real easily, but I enjoy hand carving these types of things, and they're fun to do. A little tricky, but I've learned some tricks that make it work. And here's another style of that. It's more of a flat band look, but that has the rolled off edges. So you can see is that there's a lot of different techniques you can use to get different finishes on things. And again, going back to the rough gold styles, here's one we've done in the past where we actually put some different gemstones in, kind of like pavement. So you can see, we can do everything from hand carved, simple, hand carved, very technical. We can do little wire rings. We can do one drop at a time, hand carved pieces also. We can do a lot of things on the computer. We'll go to the computer, and basically, when customers come in, I'll sit down and we'll work with someone and develop an idea, and I kind of do some sketches. And once we kind of figure out, yes, that's what I want, I'll take the sketches and do a little more detail. And we'll send those to our CAD designer. We have a couple of really great CAD designers we work with, and they'll interpret what I'm trying to convey, and we'll build a ring, and the customer will get to see that in different positions and know exactly what their ring's going to look like. And once that's approved, then we'll do all the casting processes and finish work, the stone setting. It's a lot to do. It's exciting. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy what I do. I get to make people happy. That's a great job to have. It's even more fun to be able to have people involved in it as well. You know, it's not when a lot of stores say, yeah, we do custom design. They take a catalog out, you know the parts, they piece it together, or they send it out to somebody else and let them all figure it out and come back. But it's more fun when you become involved in the process. I've done this for over 40 years, and I've seen all the pitfalls of jewelry design and jewelry making, and how things should wear, and how things should fit, and how they should be made. So I can guide you to create something very special, and it's going to be something you'll enjoy for a lifetime. And hopefully one day, if you have someone lucky enough, you can pass it down to them, and they'll remember you enjoying it and wearing it, and they'll get to do the same thing. I always appreciate it. So that's what life's all about in custom design. So if you have any questions, please contact us. If you have any projects you want to work on, that's something we'd love to help you with. And again, right now, if you got any old gold you're not using, sitting around, you're inheriting some pieces that are not your style, bring that in. It has value. Your gold can be scrapped and have a lot of value towards the custom piece you've always wanted. Or if you have something that you want to redesign, it's not your style anymore, you're there, bring it in. We'll be happy to sit down and try to help you figure out if that's something you want to do and how to do it. Again, thanks for joining us. Mimi, what else do you have to talk about? I've done all the rambling tonight.
You've done great. That's about our time.
All right, yeah,
So,
we're not going to show much jewelry tonight. Just kind of want to give you a little bit of oversight on how things are done. If you like this, please let us know. We kind of did a lot tonight, talked about a lot. We can break it down and really show you some very detailed processes of how we do it. And
Didn't talk about your favorite tool, you'll have to do that next
yeah,
week.
we've got lots of interesting tools. We can show you how we do things. So we might just do a little series, maybe along with our showing the merchandise and our special values we do on Shop Live with Minnie and Russ. Maybe we'll just have maybe a 10 or 15 minute insert or a little workshop, show you what we do and how we do certain things, like how do you size a ring. Maybe we'll show you how a ring is sized. How do you tip prongs? How do you fix prongs that are worn out? Or how do you weld something together? So maybe we'll do some of these things as well over these next few months and teach you how to be a jeweler. Maybe you want to be a jeweler and take over from me. I'm very excited. Thanks for joining us. On behalf of Mimi, I'm going to say good night. God bless you all. We'll see you next time. Go do. Win the national championship.